Hello, welcome back. Thank you so much for coming back. We hope today will be going much smoother. Tonight we're going to be talking about adaptive dive training and Diveheart's role in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're excited. We're going to be playing a video initially for you. It's a discussion with Jim, Rachel Crane, and myself talking about Diveheart and our adaptive dive program. And then after that, we'll have a panelist of instructors that will be joining us that you can interact with and send your questions to. So at this time, we're going to play our video. Okay, well, I'm Tina Marie Hernandez. I'm Diveheart Executive Director, and I'm really excited to have Jim Elliott, our founder and president, and Rachel Crane, our Director of Education and Training, for a discussion about adaptive diving and our diving program, our training program. So, Jim, I'm going to start with you. It's been 20 years, Diveheart's 20th anniversary, and 7 years since we've become a training agency in adaptive diving. What's your take? What do you think? Did you see yourself here?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I never did. Happy anniversary, everybody, by the way. I never thought that it would be where it is. I started training people with disabilities. It's really in 97 before we started Diveheart. And when we incorporated Diveheart in 2001, I definitely thought it was going to be a small, little club kind of thing. And I started seeing things right away, especially with some of the benefits underwater people were getting. So I immediately went out to Midwestern University and talked to the head of physical therapy and started saying, there's some stuff here. We're seeing, pain relief and all sorts of stuff. So that's when we started thinking about this as really a therapy. And what it's done is it's, now it's exploded. I mean, now everybody in the world is replicating what we have been doing, and not so much on the research side. I think we're really way ahead of the pack on that. But it's all over the world now, which is very exciting.
That's good. Rachel, so you've been with us practically from day one when we started our training agency 7 years ago. I think we just decided we came on that next spring. And what's your take on the program, and what are you most proud of? Because you've been an integral part of us developing over the years.
Yeah, it's been amazing to be a part of it, starting building these courses and then watching them be implemented into the world. I'm really proud of, how much thought went into every tool that we've created. We have a lot of fantastic tools that are specific to Diveheart, and, getting to watch those get utilized correctly it's been really amazing. And I'm really proud of how much safety went into everything that we have implemented. All of the different exercises that we utilize and scenarios that we put our buddies and our adaptive divers through, they've been really well thought out from a safety and risk management point, which is huge for me. And yeah, so getting to watch that happen. And then the fact that because we are still growing, we're very open to changes. So we'll think through a situation, put it out in the world, get feedback on it, and we'll work together to alter or change it to be safer. So I'm just really proud of how we're growing and how much input we take from all walks of life and points of view to keep things safe and keep things moving forward.
I definitely want to curtail on that. I think I'm very proud of the way that we continue to update and innovate. My 2021 theme this year is level up, right? So we're constantly looking for a way to improve. And, my background is process improvement and risk management. So all of these things are kind of a sweet spot for me and, the training portion of what Diveheart does. So I agree with both of you. And I didn't see it. We were really excited. I remember when the manual first came out, February of 2014, and to think that how many have gone out into the world. I think that we probably don't even know how many lives we've touched because there's so many people who may have just read the book or read the manual, hopefully found something out of it, if nothing else, if, maybe inspiration to dive or to teach people to dive. And I just I'm really excited to see where this goes or continues to go. So one of the things, now that I talked about leveling up, was innovation. We always pride ourselves on how innovative Diveheart is and what we, where does that come from? What are these ideas of changing it up and improving our training? Where does that come from? What are we doing to help continue that? I know, Jim, I think you had a kind of a story of our latest and greatest of how we come to some of these innovative changes we implement.
Yeah, well, they say good divers are always learning, and I try to remember that when I'm out there. And I think what Rachel said is really important about safety. And I think our safety really begins with the composition of the adaptive dive team and how the adaptive diver is an integral part of that team. And everybody knows roles and responsibilities, and some of the tools that we've developed in our program, like the adaptive diver profile slate, that forces the team to sit down and work out every nuance of the dive and what happens, who's going to transfer the pad from the wheelchair to the dive platform, and when they come back on, who's going to take care of things and how a transfer is going to be handled. So the team is a really important safety component. But then, as you were speaking, our innovative part of us is always enhancing the safety. And one of the stories, really briefly, that we just ran into through an experience within the last year or two was when we surfaced 4 teams. Everyone in the team, all the adaptive divers, were wheelchair users. And we came up, and it wasn't our boat that they wanted us to get on, because our boat had broken down and drifted to the end of Cozumel. And we said, oh no, we don't have any of the tools we need, because when people come up who are wheelchair users with spinal cord injuries, for example, they need to have catheters, and none of the catheters were there. So we developed some new protocols and procedures to address that, so the catheters will always be with the adaptive diver, and we're testing pressure, some under pressure and things like that when we go to depth, to make sure that they don't get contaminated and things like that. So that's pretty exciting. And that just recently happened. And then things that we've developed over the years, like using the full face mask, which I think we pioneered in adaptive scuba, bringing it to a level where we're using it for individuals who are not comfortable having a full, regular traditional regulator in, people that have face configurations that don't allow us to use a regular traditional regulator. But the using the full face mask, and then the quick disconnects that we use from our friends at Ocean Reef, where I'll have a 6-foot hose and connect it to the mask on the adaptive diver when we transfer them back onto the platform, which makes it easier for everybody, the team on the boat and the team in the water. And if it's rough, you don't have to worry about that person leaving that surface port open. So that's another technique that we've used, which is helped us do things. It can be applied underwater too. So if a high pressure hose breaks, all of a sudden the adaptive diver's out of air with a full face mask on. Boom, we just pop our hose on, and they're breathing off of our tank, which is very safe. So I'm really proud of some of those innovations.
Diving is all about diving with another person. I know these days there are solo diver certifications you can get, but I love the fact that the way that we have chosen to go with adaptive diving is about a team effort. And we really, it's a call to team. That's the certification adaptive diver gets, is what type of team do you want to dive with, or you need to dive with, to stay safe. And that kind of goes back to your safety, Rachel. Did you have something that you wanted to share about the innovation?
Oh, yeah. Innovation, you were talking about the dive tools that we use. So for the adaptive diver, we have the adaptive diver profile slate, which is basically like the size of a normal piece of paper. And it's a waterproof slate where the adaptive diver gets to write down all the information about themselves, what kind of help they need. So when they work with buddies or divers anywhere in the world, they can show them what they need help with. And then everybody kind of signs up as part of the team. Oh, I'll be responsible for helping you with that. So just how well thought out some of those tools are. That needed scuba assistance, we don't reteach kind of people how to clear a mask and everything. We utilize all of the agencies teaching for that, and we've kind of distilled it down to I believe there's 20 skills that are going to be taught no matter what. And based on how much help an adaptive diver might need or doesn't need with a skill, we kind of score them. Do they need help? Do they maybe need help? Or do they not need help at all? And that helps us understand, and it helps them understand what they'll need assistance with in the water and what they can actually do themselves, which is actually very powerful if we do the score before they go in the water. So what do they think they need help with? And then at the end, after they've gone through, they rescore and they find out just how much they can do. So like, I think that's a really cool innovation. It helps boost their confidence. It's really cool to watch people find out how much they can do. And let's see, we also have, we have slates for our instructors. So the Diveheart course has got a lot in it. It's a hefty course if you're going to learn to be any type of buddy. And so we've got slates to help our instructors stay on track and to help those buddy students, those buddy candidates, kind of know what they're doing, because it's a lot.
Yeah, it took us a minute to figure out the flow of the course. And I think your slates or the ones that you helped develop really help identify the flow of the course for the instructors, which makes them much happier as far as being able to teach the course in a reasonable manner.
Yeah.
The thing I like about the NSA evaluation is you can have a injury and be at a certain level when you first evaluate, and get a certification, and which determines the type of team you need. But then let's say you improve, your rehabilitation helps you move to a different level. And you might have needed 3 buddies at the beginning of your certification, and now you only need 2. Right? Or maybe you eventually get to open water, which potentially could happen. On the other hand, if you have muscular dystrophy or you have MS, you have a degrading, condition, so that you may start at a higher level, and then we can use the NSA to evaluate your progress as you degrade or as you improve. So that's a really cool tool. And I think all of this has been developed over years, where we get a lot of experience. I'm really proud of our training program because we emphasize experience. We just don't do empathy training. We don't say, hey, you're blind. Hey, you're a para. Hey, you're a quad. Here's your card. Go get them, Tiger. We before COVID, we had 11 trips planned for 2020. That's a lot of experience. And our total immersion trips, like in Cozumel, people are from morning, noon, and night. They're consuming experiences with different people with different types of disabilities, and that gives them confidence, and that helps us. I mean, we're always on those trips developing new and innovative ways to address something like the catheter issue and stuff. So
it really humanizes, I think, those trips. It brings it down to such a personal level for everybody. And I think that's why, Diveheart, Jim and I we have discussed this specifically, that we feel it's very much a responsibility of Diveheart to give the opportunity for both buddies and adaptive divers to dive, to bring them to places where they can work together, where they can learn together. Thank the maker. We have adaptive divers who are willing and able to come on these trips and be so generous as to allow our new buddies, kind of learn from them and learn with them as they dive. So, we put an emphasis on making sure everybody has a good time, but, sometimes with the new people, they're going through a learning curve. So I think those trips, and you'll see, hopefully, as we move forward and out of COVID, or learn to live with COVID, we'll be able to offer more of the trips for people to get experience, and hopefully in different areas of the world. I want to come to you, Red Sea.
What's really exciting is watching some of the quality of life benefits and psychosocial benefits that our adaptive divers get by being part of these trips, where they're no longer self-identifying as somebody with a disability, but people are walking them up to them at the pool after they see them wheeling around the resort and getting on dive boats, and they say, "Hey, diver, how are you doing?" And that identity change really helps them, I think, overall with their quality of life and stuff. So it's exciting where the future is as we begin, like just this year alone, working with 5 occupational therapy doctoral candidates who've developed some really exciting programs, right, Tina Marie?
Oh yeah, a way to segue. You're good job, Jim. We're going to talk about, this therapy connection we have, right? So we've said it before, it's not about chasing the dive community. We love the dive community and they've always been there with us and for us, but we want to bring in the medical community. And we've done a very good job of that over the past 20 years. We've, made contacts. We've had these symposiums. We've incorporated the idea of therapy into the adaptive training that we do. And now this year, due to a big part to our occupational therapy resident students, we've created the opportunity, hopefully, of having more therapists, be they rec therapists, physical therapists, or occupational therapists, to train with us and to hopefully start offering therapy through their clinics and teams for people in adaptive diving. So, one of the things that we've been talking about as a team here is creating a certification for therapists specifically where they could train and learn some of our techniques, our buddy techniques, but always be with somebody from either Diveheart trained or adaptive trained in the water and working with their clients. So that's something new that hopefully will be coming along. We've also developed, which I think is the first, we're offering continuing education credits for these therapists in PT, OT, and in rec therapy. So these are exciting things. And if there's anybody out there that wants to learn more about that, just contact us at info@diveheart.org, because we are ready and willing and able to do our presentation for you, so that you can do your continuing education credits and learn a little bit about adaptive diving and how that can be worked into your programs, your offerings. I don't know, Rachel, if you wanted to say anything about the therapy connection we have here now with Diveheart.
Yeah, I help with education, right? And one of the things that's really powerful to me with the therapy, beyond using therapy for the adaptive diver, we've talked about how that shifts their identity, but I also just love the intersectionality of doing therapy and doing dive training, because you bring the medical field to the dive field. We work with veterans, so you bring the veteran in, and we just get all of these different points of view in one place. And it's just really amazing to watch what happens during this and the confidence shift that happens in everybody, our able-bodied buddies as well. It's very powerful to watch somebody overcome something they didn't think they could, or to help them do that. So there's, I know the therapy is typically for the adaptive diver, but it's very therapeutic for us too. And I think that's really important for quality of life for everybody. And that's one of the reasons that I like being involved with Diveheart, is helping to make those opportunities possible. So moving towards the therapy is exciting for me from that point of view.
Yeah, I mean, we talk all the time about the ripple effect, right? And we've seen it happen where it wasn't us necessarily that inspired someone to get a dive certificate, but maybe I know there's been able-bodied people who are like, I didn't really want to do it until I saw, this adapted diver dive and enjoy it and come up with this smile on their face. And I'm like, why am I not doing this? Right. Mm-hmm. And so their inspiration came from seeing an adaptive diver do it and going, if they can do it, why shouldn't I, And I thought it was the funniest thing, because I remember this person, I'm thinking of one particular person, but they said, I went to my dive shop and I said, I need to do another Discover Scuba to make sure I don't like this. And then the instructor was kind of like, okay, you want to make sure you don't like this. And then she ended up liking it and getting her certification. But it was a very unique way of approaching wanting to do a Discover Scuba again. You wanted to say something, Jim, right?
Yeah, well, I'm really proud of the fact that years ago, and this is our 11th adaptive scuba symposium, but we were way out in front of the pack with developing this concept and bringing in university medical center professors and researchers and therapists to talk about the benefits of scuba therapy from things they found or research they've done. So very proud of leading really the industry in that. And it was an industry that wasn't really excited about working with people with disabilities when I started, because it was a lot of work, right? And they didn't feel they were going to make a lot of money because people with disabilities typically maybe didn't have the same resources. And they were afraid. They were afraid of liability. And I think that our program has taken a lot of safety measures, like Rachel mentioned, and it has made adaptive scuba probably the safest diving in the world, where you have multiple people around somebody with a disability who then is just, they're not watching the blue fish, right? They're focused. They don't even see the reef. They're focused on this diver and anticipating all the things, having strategic and situational awareness. We're anticipating things that could go wrong. And I'm really proud of our program. They're really stressing that and making that important. And I think that anyone interested in finding out more about our symposiums or more about our programs, if they went to our website and clicked on media and just began watching go through the media library and the media kit and the YouTube channel with all the playlists that break out medical and symposiums and military and just, it's like a university course, over a year where you would have to absorb all of this information. And it's not just talking heads like us right now, but it's really individuals with disabilities talking about things and therapists talking about things and rehab docs. And so it's very valuable. What
I really wanted to share was I love the fact of how adaptable our program is. So, we've been talking to different resorts and just saying, why don't we come and just work with your team on transfers, right? Mm-hmm. We want to help you get whatever adaptive, divers come to you and be able to transfer them appropriately. And that makes a huge difference for the diver that's coming to visit them, right? These divers, it's funny, you hear story after story about how an adaptive diver's like, I just want to dive so much. I really didn't care that they kind of banged me into the boat or, I got a little scraped up. But that doesn't need to happen, right? It doesn't need to happen. And when they find a group, a team, be it at a resort or a group that they go diving with that knows how to transfer them properly or can address and ask the right questions, where they're like, wow, this group really does care about like me as a diver, respects me as a diver, not just someone that they have to help me with everything, right? It's not about spoon feeding them or treating them with kid gloves. It's really having a conversation about, what is it that you require and what is it that you're fine with, right? And our program is all about kind of going like this and going like this and going like this and fitting the scenario of what you're working with. And I really like that about the program. I think that if there's anybody out there, and we had talked about even people who aren't able to come and train with us directly, that's why we wrote what we did. We wrote our manual in a way where hopefully people can get tips and tricks, and it wouldn't be a certification, but it's enough to hopefully improve what they're doing if they're already working with people with disabilities, right? Of course, anybody who really wants to get trained up, contact us and we'll find somebody or a way to hopefully get you trained up and certified so you can do our program.
Questions, go to Rachel at training@diveheart.org. Right?
Yeah. And it's really cool too, because it doesn't matter what agency you're originally trained through. right? We work with all of the existing recreational agencies. They've figured out how to teach you how to clear your mask and all of that. We are going to teach you how to help somebody else clear their mask, or whatever it is that they might need assistance with, and how to work in a team and take your dive skills to the next level. Our basic buddy course, it's almost more intense than a rescue course because of how much we're going to put you through these different scenarios to get you comfortable and understanding, because then you can think in that anticipation mindset that Jim was talking about. You know, how can you anticipate a scenario if you've never been in it? So we have you go through those. And it's really wonderful because we work with all the different agencies. You get people from all walks of life, different points of view, and it just really helps enrich that course. And sometimes it helps us, you know, change and alter things so that the next course will be more enriched for the future. So very exciting.
I think our approach, I mean, the way when we first started doing, I mean, we didn't really launch our program until we had 17 years of experience in working with people with disabilities and scuba diving and adaptive scuba. And when I know that I brought everything that I had experienced. I mean, I guided and taught blind skiers for decades, and some of our land clinic scenarios are based on some of the things we did on ski hills with instructors teaching them to work with blind people. And then, you know, been working around people with wheelchairs since a kid because my dad was a disabled Army vet. So all those decades of experience really helped us, I think, really drill down into each subject, like you were saying, Rachel, in our manual. And the nuance that's in there is, you know, sometimes you have to look at the training materials and the e-learning multiple times to really get everything or most of it, you know. And then, like Tina Marie said, our playbooks are going to flush out the real, you know, the nuance of, you know, diving with side mount or wheelchair clinic, or how do you work with somebody who is a you know, a service animal. I mean, just those types of things. And in our course too, like you were saying, Rachel, it makes you a better diver. I mean, I can't tell you how many instructors have come to us and said, this course should be taken by every diver, period, because you are a better diver when you're done. You know, I've had it described, like you said, rescue. I've had it described as rescue on steroids. And it does. You're more confident. You're thinking about things you never thought about before. Situational awareness isn't heightened. So it's really something every diver could be a lot safer if they went through our training. It may not be for everyone where they want to help people with disabilities, because it could be intimidating for some people, but certainly in the course and going through the exercises and stuff, it really makes you a better diver.
So that kind of leads to, you know, our last kind of area that we wanted to talk about, which is what's to come. Where do we see adaptive diving going? Where do we see Diveheart and the sense of how we're going to help move it forward? We kind of talked about how, you know, we believe that the medical community is a big part of this going forward. Getting adaptive divers out there, you know, continuing to get them in the open water as well as into the pools and quarries and things like that around their community. Who wants to take this one?
I can talk a little bit. Do you want to go, Rachel?
I can take a little bit. I'm going to go sideways from your therapy, though. So one of the things, you know, that we'd like to do, and when there's not COVID, we typically have trips all over the world, because we do have adaptive divers that are capable of going to the open water, and all of a sudden they can go on a dive vacation. And that's something they never thought they could do. And, you know, if they're one of those things, if you asked me 6 months ago if I'd be planning a dive vacation, I never thought I'd be saying yes. So one of the things that Diveheart really wants to do is we want to help educate more resorts on how they can attract adaptive diving businesses, and how they can actually provide, you know, services so that adaptive divers see their resorts as a potential place to go on vacation. So we want to help open the world to these people, help them see the ocean, right? Because the ocean's an amazing place and we all love it. So that's, ultimate end goal is that more people are able to travel and experience the ocean. So that's one of the big goals for where we're going. And then Jim, I have a feeling you were going to go a different direction.
Yeah, well, I think we've excited the medical and therapeutic industry and rehab industry for sure. I think we've inspired the dive industry. When I began this, I struggled to find an organization that could help me start working with people with disabilities. And I think that the future is going to be very exciting because we want to build a deep warm water therapy pool. And it's morphed as a project into a deeper pool than we originally thought it would be, because we've seen some of the benefits and at depth with pain management and things like that. So zero gravity is great anyway, right? Even in a swimming pool. But if we can build a deep warm water therapy pool that would, give people, researchers and therapists and regular divers and adaptive divers the opportunity to get in the water on a regular basis. For example, we've got people on a dive trip. If they're in chronic pain, they'll roll up to us in a wheelchair on day 2 and go, Jim, I've been in pain for 10 years. This is the first time I'm pain-free since my injury. And we just go get in line now because that's happened so many times. And they can be pain-free up to 3 weeks. They've told us that week they're in Cozumel, and then 2 weeks after the pain starts coming back. Well, imagine if we could get them in a deep warm water pool on a weekly basis, and they wouldn't have to necessarily experience that pain again potentially, and wouldn't have to maybe take medication. So it's really an exciting project, and we're very close, knock on wood, to seeing a land donation. Keep our fingers crossed, but that's an exciting part of our future.
Yeah, I like the idea of as we move forward, we weren't looking for doctoral students in their residency to come to us. I honestly, in 2020, I was shocked. I was just like, where are they finding us? Like, is our name in a bathroom somewhere? Call Diveheart if your, residency bailed on you this year. And I know that's probably how we got all of them, is that, everybody was scrambling because COVID ruined their first choice. And I was okay with year 1 being the second choice. What I hope is as we move forward, we'll become people's first choice, and people who want to know more about how adaptive diving can help their future practice or become part of their future practice, or research around, yesterday's talk was on some research that happened 15 years ago that's still inspiring our occupational therapy research students today. They find that peer-reviewed article and they're like, this is it. This is what everybody uses and what they're laying their research on. And so I'm hoping as we move forward in years to come, some of the research that's being done today is going to become that next step in research and expand it. And Diveheart hopefully will be there to support them and to help, get these things done. And I think it's only going to be better for the adaptive divers to come in later, right? They're going to be benefiting from these young people who are going to be the future of the therapy world. And so I'm really excited about that. And I'm excited for more trips, Rachel, getting more partnerships. We really, at Diveheart, we really believe in partnership. It's about a win-win for everybody because we can't do it all ourselves. And I think that was something too, Jim and I have talked a lot about. Like, we want more instructors out there. We want more buddies out there. And we want them to thrive in the communities that they come from. And we're here to kind of lead the way and hold the torch and say, come on, let's go down this path of promoting adaptive diving. I think that we also make people advocates of the sea, the oceans, and then essentially, the globe. And that's something that's really big right now too, right? We're all experiencing some of these weather issues, some of these other things that that show us how important it is for us to be advocates of our environment, because we want it to be there tomorrow for everybody else and for ourselves as well. So I feel like adaptive divers are really good. They understand advocacy. They understand what it's like to be the person not thought of, or the thing not being thought of, right? So when we talk about, the oceans, and I feel like the ocean is very much something that a lot of people don't think about, right? You just don't think, oh, well, what happens to the rest of the world when, all of the ocean life is injured or isn't around anymore. So anyway, I think that we're creating advocates, we're creating good research, and that's what I want to see happen going forward.
Well, I think part of the proof in the pudding on that, Tina Marie, is the fact that we've helped spin off, and help create over 50 other nonprofits who are out there, like SAFE, for example, in the Northwest, where they're using Diveheart materials to train adaptive divers. They're joining us on some of our adaptive trips until they build the confidence to begin to do their own trips. And it's cool to see this kind of exponentially grow, like the ripple effect you were talking about. And as they hang with us and they see that it's really not even really about scuba diving, but it's about creating that paradigm shift in another human, and have them self-identify as somebody who's a diver and not somebody with a disability. And then like you said, with the environment, point them towards coral reef restoration, marine biology, and oceanography, and make them good stewards of the environment. Because that way they feel valued and they have purpose, right? And that's what we all need.
I like it. So any last thoughts? I know we're kind of coming to the close of our conversation. I was really excited to talk to the two of you, for us to share kind of our thoughts on adaptive dive training, adaptive diving in general, and where we hope to bring it as Diveheart, as the leader.
Well, I mean, in the last, I've been with Diveheart, I think 6-ish years now, and it's been absolutely wild to see how much we've grown, and just how, people know who we are, and they're asking questions, they're excited to be a part of this, and that was in 6 years for just training. So I can only imagine what, the next 5 years is going to bring. So I'm just excited to see where this goes, and to see, the inspiration that's following us and coming at us. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, we're 20 years into it now, and I think that part of our success has been, perseverance. It's been sticking with it. I tell people, I said, we're not the fastest, but we're like water. We just keep coming.
We will get it. Well, thank you again. For anybody out there, again, Jim mentioned training at diveheart.org. If you're interested in becoming a buddy, an instructor, stick with us, because we're going to have a panel right after this to talk with the instructors that are out there doing it, sharing their stories of challenge and success. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're back.
All right. We'd like now to introduce you to our panel, if we could. Instructors from around the world right now. We want to thank you all for being here, because I know we're talking to instructors from Malaysia and from the UK and from all over the country, all over the US. So those instructors are Saeed, right? And he is, Saeed is really an amazing guy. He was and he'll correct me if I'm wrong, but he was the chief financial officer of the Kuala Lumpur airport system, and came to us when we were doing a demonstration in Singapore and wanted to get involved. And Tina Marie said, we need you to do this, and they gave him a whole box of stuff that most people don't do. And he not only did it, but he was amazing. So Saeed will be here from Kuala Lumpur, and very close to Malaysia Tourism, who have been great supporters of what we do and what he does. In fact, most recently, Saeed presented at the Moscow Dive Show within the last couple months, and will be presenting again in Dubai in December. Another one of our instructors is Gabe, and Gabe is an instructor trainer down in the Key Largo, and just within the last month or two, we were down there and Gabe was training instructors from Indiana University, some instructors that were recreational therapy candidates, I guess you'd call them, but they're going to be also joining us tomorrow, because tomorrow we're going to be focusing on recreational therapy and how it relates to scuba therapy. Gabe also worked with some of our occupational therapy candidates who were with us this last summer. So we're happy to have Gabe. Sarah is one of our local instructors here in the Chicagoland area. And she is just, I don't know, she's run through walls for us forever. And now that she's retired from the Chicago public school system as a teacher, we're excited that she's going to be able to do more for us. And we thank her for being there. And then Josephine is in the UK, and Josephine came to us through a chapter we had at one time in Birmingham, England, and is now doing her thing and using Diveheart materials and programs in the UK. So we're happy to have all of you, and let's begin.
Yeah. You guys can turn on your videos and get yourself off mute and we can say hello.
Awesome.
So why don't we start? I know we're trying to get the video going, but everybody can hear you at least, you guys. Hi, Gabe. I think you're off of mute as well. So our first question for the panel is, what interests you in wanting to get involved with adaptive scuba diving? And I'm going to pick on Saeed first.
It's okay. First and foremost, thank you very much for inviting me for this symposium. Tina Marie reached out to me and said, "Said, are you okay to attend a symposium with us very early in the morning from Kuala Lumpur?" I said, "Okay, I'm very excited to join anything that I can assist with the Diveheart program." So I actually, what interests me in getting involved in adaptive scuba is that way back in 2012, I attended the DIMA show with the Tourism Malaysia. That was the meeting point where I met the young gentleman without hair, the bald hair guy, attending the booth, and we had a chat. So I said I would like to be interested in doing something like this back in Malaysia, because we don't have any lead or anybody or any organization in assisting the special community. So after that, we communicate via emails, and we keep on communicating until I got to know that the Diveheart team came to Singapore in 2015. So the moment when I got to know about you guys coming into Singapore in 2015, I think you know that I flew into Singapore to meet you guys and invite you guys to come in to Malaysia for a few days and see what is the offering that Malaysia or we can offer to Diveheart. So as you mentioned that during that time that Tina Marie gave me a few assignments, I think I did some magical things over 3 days, and when you arrived, when we were doing our first program with quite a few of media coverage, that was the start of Diveheart in Malaysia way back in 2015. And after that, the next year, I think you came to Malaysia again. We invited you, and then we did our adaptive scuba training, and also I think we did a trip with 3 of our disabled participants or disabled students in Tioman Island, whereby we did diving, adaptive diving with a group with a very assisting dive center in Tioman Island, with the participation of the University Malaya Medical Center Rehab Unit. There were quite a number of occupational therapists there, and also we were very fortunate to have the current director of the University of Malaya Medical Center, Professor Nazira, who joined us at that time. And is the video on? I still cannot on the video. So that was the.
I don't think so, but that's okay. If we can
hear you.
We can hear you just fine.
Yeah. So that is how we start to get the Diveheart program move along in Malaysia. And Diveheart and the adaptive scuba is very unique to the region. I would say to the Asia region, because not many instructors are willing to do it, and not many dive centers are willing to go ahead with it. But I have faith in Diveheart. I've seen what you guys do, and the determination that you have extend the opportunity to the special community. So this I have followed through, and we have started to do programs over the years. And the next year we did a program with University of Malaysia in Terengganu. This university is unique because it's a marine-related university, and it is they have a marine research center. They have their own island. It's called Bidong Island. So this is when the other following year, where Jim arrived in Kuala Lumpur again, and we did a bigger program with the University of Malaysia Terengganu to take quite a number of, I think there was 12 adaptive divers. This is after I managed to train a group of instructors and dive masters from University of Malaysia Terengganu to be a Diveheart adaptive buddy team. So this is where after the program in University of Malaysia Terengganu, this is where we see the community, the diving community, actually appreciate what has been done to this special community. And nevertheless, we would like also to extend our outstanding media coverage. Locally, internationally, especially in our local Malaysian media, they've not seen this before. So when we give them the opportunity, and even with a handsome bald-haired man all the way from Chicago, US, coming into Bidong Island during our program to have a lengthy talk in front of the camera, they like it. And most of our program comes in with the support from our friends, our rehab unit from University of Malaya Medical Center. That makes it unique as well. And this is a very good support in which we have from University of Malaysia Terengganu, which is an academic marine university, and also the medical university from University Malaya Medical Center. After that, moving on, we start doing regular monthly programs on the pool. Then every year we start to do a training for our adaptive students. And good news is we have also started training our occupational therapists and physiotherapists from University of Malaya Medical Center to become certified divers. It's not just training the special community people. Now we are training the therapists. I think the video is on now. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, I'm on. Can you see me?
Well, Saeed, you know our slogan, everyone does, right? It's imagine the possibilities. And
Yep.
And in Asia and Malaysia and all over that part of the world, you've helped people imagine the possibilities in their lives. So thank you for being part of Diveheart.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
absolutely. It's very exciting,
And growing
everything
it.
that's going on.
Yeah,
I hope that maybe we can meet up with you on one of these future
soon.
dive shows then in your part of the world. Let me get Josephine to add her story into how she got involved
Sure.
with adaptive scuba. And I liked your bio, Josephine, that you shared with us. So I'm excited for you to share it with everyone.
Hello, sorry, internet went a bit funny. Hey, I'm even on. on the video.
That's Joe.
Hello, great to see you
Hi,
guys.
Joe.
It's brilliant to connect with everybody around the world. So a little bit how I got involved with yourselves and wanting to work with people with disabilities. All the way through from being a teenager, I've worked with people with disabilities in various capacities, and I've always been a diver. And when I first started to work as an instructor, I had the opportunity to run a few pool sessions on an evening with some local people who had various levels of disability, and that really kind of sparked my interest. And I learned an awful lot from them, and I hopefully passed on some skills just within the over in the UK. We're governed by the Health and Safety Executive, so this was back in the year 2000. And there was an awful lot of barriers, an awful lot of fear about kind of working with people with disabilities within Scuba. And my boss at the time was a little bit wary of kind of taking it forward, but was okay with the pool sessions. So I feel it's been quite a long journey, and quite a long time later, I was able to train with a different training agency with Scuba and disabilities. But I wasn't particularly pleased with their level of training. It was okay. So I then sought out and found Diveheart, and just absolutely loved and still love everything about Diveheart, the ethos, the level of training, the experiences, the empathy training is next to none. You know, it's absolutely incredible. So I was lucky enough to find you guys, and then linked in with the Birmingham chapter, and came over and did the specific training in Cozumel, which was just an absolutely inspiring, an amazing experience. And then, you know, came back to the UK, and it's been a little bit of a slow burn over here. Unfortunately, there's an awful lot of interest. It seems to be quite a few barriers, you know, one being obviously our UK weather, sadly. But we do get a lot of people into the pool with a focus on hopefully starting to get people ready to a stage where we can potentially bring them to the warmer waters, Cozumel and such like. So it'd be great to kind of link in with other, you know, places as well to be able to kind of deliver. Obviously, for us being in the UK, there's you know, there's travel considerations, as I'm sure there are for everybody, but length of flight and things. But we're starting to get a fair bit of interest. We're also hoping to develop similar things with working with occupational therapists. I have one particular young man with cerebral palsy, where we work with his physiotherapist, and she's adapted her physio that she does so that it kind of hopefully supports him in the water. So, for example, she has a backpack that she fills with weights, and she gets him to wear this backpack to kind of simulate the tank on his back, so that he starts to build up those relevant muscles that he needs then for the in-pool work. So we're kind of moving forward, and we've kind of got in-water sites that we think may be potentially suitable for certain people in the correct season of the warmer months, that we can then take them into the more local waters here, so that we can start to build up those experiences. And we're hoping to develop a link with one of our local aquariums, where they've been purpose built to be able to take divers. So we're kind of looking at how we'd be able to take people with disabilities in there. But they're kind of COVID, as I'm sure for everybody, has kind of pressed pause on a lot of moves forward. But we're still here, and we're still going strong, and we're still getting a lot of interest. And I think that the lockdowns that we've certainly experienced here, and the impact that it's had on particularly people with disabilities, and the social isolation, as well as the kind of physical implications of that, has made them think, right, this is, you know, this is the time we're going to get out there and give it a go. So we've got plans in place that hopefully within the next year we'll take a big leap forward with it all. So like you say, it's exciting stuff.
Very. I mean, we're really excited that every time you send a certification through, or if you post photos, it warms my heart to know that you guys are continuing your journey and continuing to be successful. So I know, Sarah, you were having some issues with a sound delay. So I'm going to skip to Gabe real quick, and then we can come back to you. And we're patient. We've been dealing with all sorts of challenges these past 2 days. So a little sound delay wouldn't be too bad.
It's a learning curve, right?
Absolutely.
Joe, thank you so much for carrying the torch in the UK. We appreciate it.
And he's upside down.
So there he is. He's hanging from one of those bars, I think, right?
I don't know where it's upside down.
That's all right.
How's everybody?
You're like, this is the talent that you have.
If anyone's going to be upside down, Gabe, we knew it would be you.
I don't know. I guess I could flip the laptop or something.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
That's funny, though.
It is.
It's the magic.
So what interested you in wanting to get involved in adaptive scuba, sir?
Well, when I was doing my bachelor's in physical education, I remember working with this special school back in Puerto Rico with kids with disabilities, and we had contact with them on a pool day, and it was an interesting experience. It was actually my first time. This is a little bit over 10 years ago. And then, as I ventured into diving, I was thinking, why not in diving too? That I was DDI for a few years, and I did that program for a few years. Then I met you guys, and we clicked, and been doing Diveheart ever since. It's a good program. So, and I like how this how this program works, and how people feel after they dive with us, and teaching it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Out of this panel, I think 3 of you or 2 of you were ex or current teachers. You guys are still teachers.
And also, Gabe is coming on in a big way to work with Diveheart in parts of the world that speak Spanish, and really helping us out with translations and all sorts of other aspects of that. So we figure we got the continent covered between Gabe and the rest of us. So thank you for helping us with that. So we have what?
Can you hear me now?
What interested you in wanting to get involved in adaptive scuba?
What interested me? Well, I was on a family dive trip to Bonaire, and I came across a couple of volunteers that were there. We met in the hotel or in the airport, and they had video that they had just shot of a diver. And I really don't remember whether the diver had no arms and no legs, but they were using a propulsion device. And they had the video, and they were all like, it was very exciting. And they mentioned that they were in the Chicagoland area, and I happened to live like right down the train tracks from Downers Grove, and it piqued my interest. And I showed up at Oakwan, which is a local pool, their DSC, the following month. So this was in November, and I was at Oakwan in December. And I kind of never looked back. It was something that I didn't know that I was interested in, but it is what I do now. So that's pretty much how it happened. Is that what you asked?
You did very well. That was a great answer.
Good job. If we could go on to the next question, then, we can kind of combine a couple of questions where when we look at adaptive divers, we can see some of the physical and psychological benefits that they get from adaptive scuba. And what kind of value have you seen, and what kind of benefits have you seen adaptive divers experience when you're teaching and watching them during DSCs, which are Diveheart Scuba Experience programs in pools and stuff? Saeed, do you want to take that?
Yes, Jim, thank you very much. Over the years that I've done the adaptive scuba training, I've seen a lot of positive impact over the opportunities that we have given to the adaptive divers. Basically, some of them are visual impaired and hearing impaired. And also, I would like to share with everyone here that in 2018, we did a program, our Diveheart Adaptive program at a beautiful resort in the island of Perhentian in Terengganu, whereby we were approached by a special school for hearing impaired kids in Terengganu. So they brought in 10 kids, 5 boys and 5 girls who are hearing impaired. And nevertheless, the kids and the school is very near to the jetty point where all the tourists go into the island, but they have never been to the island. So during our Diveheart program, it is first time for the kids to be able to go to the island and to see what the tourists and all the people who enjoy snorkeling and divers were going to that destination. What did they do all this while? Because they grew up there, all the kids grew up there. The moment they arrived to the island and we saw their eyes are so big and their jaws drop and said, wow, this is great. And they are special because they are hearing impaired. So we had a special translator, and also we had a team, and their teachers were very supportive because as we did our briefing, the teachers were there to do the translation. And we were also very fortunate that we had one dive master who's deaf and mute in Malaysia to do a special presentation about discover scuba diving to the special kids. And the hotel itself was very assisting to us, very friendly to us in allowing the special kids to do their pool training first before they actually completed the beach dive. So this has a big impact into the, has given a big impact to the special hearing impaired kids, in which they have never thought they could go to the island. They have never thought to ever even breathe underwater, never more or less of using a scuba equipment. So this has actually gave a big impact through the diving industry involving adaptive technique in Malaysia, and I was also say in the region, because the media coverage for that program itself was worldwide. Thank you to everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Saeed. It's amazing what you're doing there. Josephine, your thoughts?
Yeah,
and the benefits you've seen, and some of the value you think some of your adaptive divers have gotten.
I can definitely see the benefit. It's the feedback that we get is incredible. We worked with one young man who, at the age of, I think he was 19, and he was just about to start a university course when he had I'm not sure what it was called, but there was he got a brain disease, and he was very lucky to pull through, and he developed a lot of cognitive disabilities as well as physical. And we were able to take him in the pool, which gave him such a sense of freedom of movement. And one of the things that's always kind of stuck with me was that he, due to this brain disease, he developed double vision. And in the pool, we did certain tasks with him, and the double vision disappeared. And he was able to pick up things straight away. We put things on the bottom of the pool, whereas when he kind of did that task on land, he kind of took a few attempts to get the same object. So that was really interesting, and that was something that he was then able to take back to his consultants, and kind of we then kind of built on those kind of things. He wasn't able to kind of speak. He'd lost that ability. So in the water again, what really helped was he could commute. He obviously understood what we were communicating to him. Obviously, we'd give the verbal explanation on land, and then we'd go through the hand signals, and he was able to follow those instructions, and that was so empowering for him, but also really empowering for his family to kind of see this progress that they couldn't really see in any other kind of activity that he kind of took. Also, the parents had really fought hard to kind of get him involved in various activities, but a lot of people, the father had said he'd felt that he'd been written off and he wasn't really kind of accepted anywhere. Nobody particularly wanted to work with him. So when we said, well, yes, we'll obviously work with yourselves and the consultant and any team that you have, that in itself was amazing. And then from that, we were able to teach him to dive, and we taught his brother. So it became quite an inclusive. And what we did was just for a period of time, regular pool sessions. And I think what was so amazing was that it wasn't about having to have that end certification to become, a diver in the sea as such. It was enough for them just to do the regular activities in the pool. And then this was before COVID. Then the father got a new job and kind of moved area, but always had that experience and knows that we're still here. And then we currently work with a young man, as I mentioned before, with cerebral palsy. And again, you mentioned the full face mask, and he wears the full face mask, the Ocean Reef. And to the extent that he has now bought his own full face mask, and he's one of ours who were hoping, again, COVID got in the way, and we were kind of at that point where he'd done quite a lot of pool sessions, and his confidence and his, our team had built up our relevant skills, and we were looking to kind of, come to Cozumel or something, and that's still in the pipeline, but probably for next year now. And we saw a decline in his physical mental health over the COVID period, and we reached out to him and just did a couple of visits when it was appropriate to do that to his home. And he concerned us greatly because his mental health had declined because he was just in his chair for pretty much a year and a half. And now that we've opened back up in the UK and we've just been, for the last couple of months, been able to get back in the pool, already he developed a stomach problem with acid and various things because of just sitting, basically. And his physio had to do physio via Zoom, all of those kind of things. So now he's back in the pool, and already with kind of being able to stretch out and being able to move his body, obviously gravity free and things like that, he's starting to get his mental health has massively improved. His confidence that he'd lost during the lockdown has come back significantly. And already, I think he was very fearful that he'd forgotten everything. So for him, it's been very empowering because actually a lot of the kind of skills and how he moves and being able to cope with at depth, he's been able to, it's come back much quicker than he anticipated. And previously to COVID, we took him to a 3-meter pool, which we have access to. And again, we managed to get him upright with the relevant weighting. So his buoyancy, he'd managed to kind of get his breathing to that level that he could hold his own position. So he was in a standing position, which obviously he never really been in, because he's been in a chair all of his life. So again, there's many kinds of levels. And again, his, goes back to his, he brought in a friend that he wanted to learn to dive so that they could be a buddy, and maybe eventually, once the experience was there, that could be his Diveheart buddy as well, and eventually form part of the team. His mother, who was very frightened of water, has now literally last week at one of the sessions has now said, actually, what am I missing out on? I can partake in this. Can I have a go? Can I have a try dive? So all these kind of things are, and I could go on and on with many experiences. So it's just inspirational, and it's kind of, it gives me that feeling of, well, I really don't have any excuse. If these guys can do it, then, anybody can really. So the benefits to them and we keep the logbook of, where they start at with the physical kind of where they feel that they're at, and then we try to record everything that they report back as what they feel is beneficial. And I know that another young man with cerebral palsy, he came to us for a little time. He reported that all the aches and pains that he felt kind of disappeared for a little time afterwards. And again, this was just the pool work as well. So and I think it was the ability to stretch out his body and kind of move more independently than he can on land. It's kind of made a big difference. So again, so many little things or big things, and it just seems to make such a difference, not just to the physical being, but also the mental and emotional, and that spreads out to the wider picture of their family and friends. So I could go on, but I'll let somebody else speak.
Yeah, it's I hear in your story, which is, I have not heard that story about the double vision before. Mm-hmm. And that's very exciting. That to me is like a research project in the waiting, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But what you say about hope and the family, we all need to be loved, valued, and have a purpose. And I'll tell you, and have hope, and what you're doing there, and what Saeed is doing, and all of you are giving people hope and giving their families hope, and getting them out of wheelchairs, or getting them out of sedentary situations, and giving them the opportunity to experience zero gravity in a way that you mentioned people are afraid of the water, and that's what makes it so cool. I mean, the cool factor of what we do is off the charts, because so many people are afraid of the water, or afraid of what's in the water or whatever. But it's it's wonderful to hear those stories.
Yeah, I love the family story. I know Sarah, who she has a lot probably of family stories, because I feel like we're always tossing families at her to train up, whether they have one person with a disability or a bunch. Did you want to take a shot at answering the story question here about
benefits and the value to adaptive divers? You're reaching out to Sarah, right? And Sarah, if you're not there, we'll reach out to Gabe, who's upside down right now.
No, he's not. He's upside right.
Are you really?
Fixed it. Well, somebody helped me fix it. Thank you.
I'd be dead without someone helping me fix that.
I know, right?
Gabe, why don't you go, since you're queued up?
About the benefits?
Benefits, value that you've seen in adaptive diving for individuals or participants.
Well, we've talked about this before, including myself, that I shared with you last time we were here, about my experience about staying above the water for a long time. And then I started feeling the effects of basically the gravity. Mm. And then when I went back in the water, I felt so much better. It's like I felt that relief, since I took a break from diving after diving every day for many, many years. But I remember this individual, a paraplegic that I had, and we took him diving. And once he was underwater, he surprised me. He didn't tell me anything. He just started basically moonwalking underwater. And I'm like, are you just messing with me with the whole wheelchair and stuff? But he explained then after to me that that was one of the few times or few places that he could actually move his legs, like get that emotion underwater. So it was a very cool experience physically. Always, as far as psychology, I can't even say the word right. Psychological. Everybody gets a boost in their self-esteem, especially adaptive divers, because they already have so many limitations, or the people put many limitations on them, and doing something like scuba diving that not everybody in the population is able to do or has done, or finds that something inhuman or extreme, and going back on Monday to your office, rolling up in your wheelchair. Hey, what did you do this weekend? Oh, I went scuba diving. What? Yeah, I do that. Yeah. Or a blind person doing the same thing. Those are, the true benefits. One of the best benefits that building up your self-esteem, because you're achieving, like I said, something that's basically inhuman, because we're not made to be breathing underwater. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think confidence, independence, self-esteem. That was our mantra when we came out of the gates 20 years ago. And what you said about it not being natural or to breathe underwater, I think that's a big part of what this does for individuals with disabilities. Not only disabilities, but able-bodied people. I mean, your brain, the minute you put your face in the water and breathe in off that regulator, you're looking in the water and your brain's going, what are you doing? You're not supposed to be doing this. And then also, I mean, the zero gravity, it's like jumping off of a building and hovering in the middle of an intersection. Nobody would imagine that above water, but underwater, you could come over a 6,000 foot drop off and hover and just be like a superhero. It's really, those are, in my mind, those are two of the coolest things. And the fact that a lot of people are afraid to do it, and which makes it even cooler for somebody with a disability to do it, is a big factor.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so that was something. I'm going to try Sarah one more time. Do you think you can get your unmute going, Sarah?
I think she got kicked out.
Did she?
Oh, well.
We'll try again. But anyway, one of the things I wanted to ask you guys was, we were talking about that it's fearful for people to possibly get into scuba diving, but one of the things that we try to do through our adaptive training for instructors is give them the confidence. And I know that there might be a lot of people out there that are like, I don't know if I could do this. You all three are very experienced in working with people with disabilities, as well as training other buddies and training up other people to scuba dive. So I'm wondering, if you had to speak to, possible instructors out there who are thinking, do I want to do this or not? What advice or what can you tell them to help encourage them down that path?
Saeed?
Anyone?
You want to take it?
Yeah, I'm here. Okay, on that point, I like the point, and I like the question, is that in Malaysia, over the years that we have worked with Diveheart and doing the adaptive scuba program, I see the future is uptrend. It's going upwards. In which, as you can see, the statistics in Malaysia and also in the neighboring countries that we have managed to communicate with some of the dive centers, and we have managed to convince some of the dive centers and resorts that they can also expand their organization and also directly and indirectly expand their business-wise into getting their instructors and their dive team to be adaptive trained, adaptive qualified, and also to get more exposure by being an adaptive friendly resorts in the region or in the country. So this is where we have seen quite a number of resorts around Malaysia. Malaysia consists of the West Malaysia and also the East Malaysia. West Malaysia is where Kuala Lumpur is. The East Malaysia is where we have the state of Sarawak. And there is where we have our Diveheart Borneo. Diveheart Borneo is very active, in which they have already started working with the rehab physiotherapists and also occupational therapists with the Sarawak General Hospital. And across next to Sarawak is the state of Sabah. In the middle is Brunei, where we have managed to work and train quite a number of the resorts dive team. Basically, I was there in the beautiful island of Mabul and Sipadan, and we managed to train instructors and also dive masters from Borneo Divers, from Sea Ventures, and also the other resorts who is dive professional who are interested in assisting the special community. So this has grown into a bigger picture in which they have now see the development of the adaptive technique and how they and also the adaptive program can assist the community. That's from me. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because you're right. We also want to get not just individuals, but the dive resorts and dive shops and things like that involved. I know, Gabe, we're trying to help us get more of the instructors and dive shops involved. You know, what do you think, what's the upside for them? I mean, we know some of the downsides for them are, it's expensive, it's intensive. You're a lot of times working with people one-on-one, or two people are required to help an adaptive diver learn how to dive, or even with the buddies. It's a lot of work, but is it worth it?
Definitely. I would say exactly what the slogan is: imagine the possibilities. It's the possibilities aren't just there for the adaptive diver, they're there for yourself, that you're taking skills that you've an experience that you've worked hard at and developed over probably a number of years, and you bring skills in not just from diving but from other aspects of your own life that then you can take forward to give to people, to open up literally a whole new world that perhaps nobody else can do. And it's something that makes a difference to the individual, to the community, to the wider family, to friends, but also the industry as a whole, because it's particularly in the UK, coming back from the where it started in its roots, coming from the Navy, and all the kind of attitudes and the ego and philosophy from then has evolved over the decades, and now we're finally at this point where it's something that can be given to people with disabilities to empower them, which then they can take forward and literally you know, at the risk of sounding a bit, I don't know, over the top, but it literally can change the world, and you can be a part of that development, because we're at the very exciting stages where it's established, but also it's growing and it's evolving, and you can be a part of all this research and development, and you can take it to so many levels yourself on an individual basis, but also for the dive center that perhaps you own or you run or you work for, or that you may then develop on, you know, and then you're linking in with worldwide, and, you know, hopefully, you know, that this specific community can grow. So, you know, again, it take it back to exactly what Diveheart say. Imagine the possibilities, because they're literally endless, and it's something that you can be a part of and make a very big difference.
Jim's a big one for rescuing the world.
Yeah, that's the goal. Rescuing.
In the front.
Not saving the world, because rescuing is a dive thing, right? But, you know, we may do an entire symposium on the business of adaptive scuba diving, which I know several of you have touched on a little bit, but making it so that people are not afraid, who run dive operations and resorts. They're not afraid to work with individuals. They're not afraid of the liability. They're not afraid of the work. And they know it doesn't necessarily bring in necessarily as much money as you might otherwise, but there are ways to be creative and work around that. And that's one of the things that we try to teach dive operations and talk to instructors and resorts about the business of adaptive scuba. It's good business. So, is Sarah with us yet? Or Gabe, are you there?
Gabe's there.
Can you want to chime in, Gabe, on the last question, which was?
Just basically, you know, how we bring people in that maybe are a little hesitant, be they dive shops or resorts or individual instructors.
Basically, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Or Sarah? Is Sarah here?
You're good.
Okay. Basically, the Diveheart program, even like Rachel was, and that what I was listening to earlier, and Jim said it too, it's going to make you a better diver overall. So, because it's a pretty intense program. So that's a value right there of the Diveheart programs. And as far as more instructor training, I train PADI instructors, and I know what the PADI training will do. But however, I'm not going to say but, doing the Diveheart Adaptive Scuba Instructor Program, I guarantee you that it's going to make you an even better instructor. More self-aware, more situational awareness, gives you a new tool set, basically, of skills and how to adapt to different situations. Because it might be that it doesn't have to be necessarily with an adaptive diver. It could be anybody that you can use that new mindset that you're acquiring of adapting skills, because there's different ways of completing one objective. So it's going to make, and for the dive center, like Jim was saying, it's good business. It's going to include, you're allowing to bring on more people, more different types of divers, buddy groups, kids camps, like we Rainbow had this week that today I helped out a little bit, or tried to, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of just showing them. We try to be very supportive of everyone that goes through the program as well. You know, it's not just a person coming through, and we try to make sure that if they want the support and if they have questions or they need to know how to market their classes or their programs that they're offering, they know that we're there to do that with them. So that would be the other thing.
Yeah, I think where we're at now in our 20th year is we're at a point where we're really trying to revolutionize rehabilitation, and we just happen to be using zero gravity and scuba therapy to do that. So, having 5 occupational therapy doctoral students this year work with us and develop amazing tools that'll help recreational therapists and occupational therapists and physical therapists get continuing education is something that adaptive scuba has never even approached before or thought of. So we're very excited to be really leading the way in that and helping spin off other nonprofits and teach people around the world and inspire people around the world who may never actually get in the water with us, but we'll look at our online training and our manuals and look at our website and see the hundreds of news stories and videos that inspire. It's not Tina Marie and I talking. It's individuals with disabilities saying, "This is how it's changed my life. It's me again." It's amazing how it's turned people around.
I think Sarah had wanted to add something.
Yeah, so Sarah.
I'm trying, but now people are here.
I hear you.
Hi. I was going to say that during my tenure with Diveheart, the shops or the dive centers benefit because of Diveheart, I purchased all my gear and I started going on trips, and my daughters got certified. And I've not only seen that in my family, I've seen an adaptive diver learn about, or somebody with a disability learns about Diveheart. They come to one of our DSEs. They then continue to grow and be involved in the programming. They go on a trip potentially. They want gear. Their family members want to get certified. They want gear, and they're extended family. And within the community, when you have a program like Diveheart, others see it and they also want to become divers. So there's just this snowball effect that I've personally experienced and I've witnessed in many families throughout the Midwest. So I'm not a dive, I don't do that, but on that side, I think it is a benefit. In addition, you've got strong divers. When somebody goes and gets certified and then they come to our DSC, they're just more powerful divers, which is good for the industry.
Yeah, Sarah, you bring up a really good point. I mean, one of the very first things I told dive operators when I started Diveheart 20 years ago was, somebody rolls into your dive shop in a wheelchair and you don't sell one set of gear, you sell 3 sets of gear minimally, because that individual probably needs at least 2 buddies with them. And when you do the economics and you think about that, it's like, wow, this could exponentially grow the dive industry. But people don't necessarily think about that. It's just kind of like people with disabilities don't think about diving as a therapy, because it's like, oh, I have a spinal cord injury. Let's go diving. It's not on the radar for them.
Right.
Wasn't funny. It's true.
I know. All right. And I couldn't agree more. I think that we're still trying to relate, or even with a resort, you guys are talking about dive shops and families want to go on trips. Families want to, even if it's just one person with a disability, we know that we've seen families who all get dive certified and they're not going to, go golfing together, but they can dive together. And they're constantly asking us, where can I go? Where's somewhere new? Who has the best resort that would be the most accessible for us and the most friendly for our family to visit. And that is definitely a passion for both Rachel and I, is to get more resorts and places for people to go on the books, for sure.
And I think one thing we haven't touched on yet, which is a really critical component of the Diveheart training program, is safety. We knock on wood, we've been very, very fortunate and not had any problems with any of our divers over the years, and we're 20 years old. And I think that because the way we construct the adaptive dive team around the adaptive diver and that individual's needs, it really makes a difference in how everyone looks at the dive and everyone's roles and responsibilities. And safety is, we're not following the blue fish, on our dive trip. We're focused on that adaptive diver. And that's a strength of the Diveheart program. And I know several of you mentioned that it makes you a better diver. We probably should add another level of training to our program, which is called Be a Better Diver, because if people never wanted to work with somebody with a disability, if they went through our program, they themselves would just become better divers because of what they would have gone through. So it's the future of adaptive scuba, right?
Yeah, and that's our next question. So what do you feel is the future for adaptive scuba? What do you think? What do you see coming our way, if you can think that far ahead? I know other growth, hopefully, is my vision. I hope it grows and we just get more and more people involved and have a better way of letting people become involved, because I think our toughest thing, Gabe, you may not have this problem because you live near the ocean, but and it's warm there, but ours is always getting a pool. That's our toughest get out here in the Midwest.
So the future of adaptive scuba, Saeed, you're on.
I see thank you very much. I see the future of adaptive scuba is growing, and it's great, especially in Malaysia, as where we have the support, very strong support from our Ministry of Tourism and also the Tourism Malaysia, which is in charge of the marketing and promotion. So this is where you have seen a lot of exposure when I was given an opportunity to attend international dive show, in which now we are given an opportunity to present our Diveheart program in international dive exhibition. So there is where the future is in. The moment where we can actually promote and market and tell the world about what Diveheart is all about. For example, the video from the Diveheart president was presented at the Moscow Dive Show. So that was something awesome, I would say. Telling the Eastern Europe community what Diveheart is all about. So the future is there. I see there's no looking back. We got to move forward, and we got to go forward to expand the Diveheart adaptive program, the Diveheart adaptive techniques, and also I can see now that even some big organization, dive organization, have also recognized Diveheart as part of the adaptive training. So this is actually another path or another forward movement into the future of adaptive diving. And I cannot see it. I can only see it's moving forward. And as Jim said earlier, this year alone, after our presentation for Diveheart at Moscow Dive Show, hopefully in Christmas, we will be in Dubai to present about our Diveheart program again, hopefully.
Well, I have decades in the media business, Saeed, and you make me look like an amateur when it comes to getting publicity. So
I got that all from you, man.
It's just amazing what you've been able to do. And, you know, after Moscow, I know we were in, I think, every dive magazine around the world, just about. So thank you for that. And awareness is everything, because like we've said, it's not on the radar for people or dive operations. And if we can show them the benefits and it's fun, right? And make it look fun, because it is. And we're helping people. I mean, if you can scuba dive and help rescue the world, I mean, that's a win-win scenario in my book. So Saeed, you're doing an awesome job out there, and I hope to see you in Dubai in December. Joe, do you want to tell us about your thoughts on the future of adaptive scuba?
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I think, awareness raising and education about the benefits in Diveheart, the Diveheart program, and what that can bring to diving and instructors and professionals and dive buddies. And kind of specifically within the UK, I particularly really want the Diveheart profile to grow and to be much more well established and well known, and to really develop and take ground here. And we've spoken a little bit about with regards to open water and to pool. And I think here within the UK, what we certainly, kind of recognise is the need to get into the open water. Our kind of conditions aren't necessarily conducive to everybody. And so, I think for us, particularly with the Diveheart program, is to develop the pool, and kind of maybe looking at, is it possible to have pool certifications? So there's that kind of recognition that they can build and they have that recognition for the work that they do in the pool. And then when they eventually get to a stage, if they're not able to get into our kind of local waters because of temperatures and what have you, then, putting on that trip to the warmer waters, but kind of maybe having a staged recognition so that they complete this portion. And we kind of looked at maybe, with kind of how we've been working with dive buddies to build their confidence and to kind of get them working in the pool a lot. But the opportunities for the open water experiences are a little bit more limited. So, we're hoping to kind of expand those and obviously kind of put on more trips and travel. But in the interim, particularly with COVID as a concern for travel, again, can they get a level of certification recognition for the pool work that they're able to do, so that they have that kind of certification to the pool level, and then as and when the experience develops for the open water, they can kind of upgrade, or whatever you want to call it, to that level. So I kind of wondered about those things in that, so that it's more accessible for not just the adaptive diver, but also for the Diveheart kind of teams that we're training up and developing, and in that when you're training somebody who isn't already a diver, who wants to be a Diveheart buddy, that you can kind of move forward a little bit more quickly, but possibly with the pool support. And then you build up their own experience of the diving before they kind of get to the open water part of the Diveheart. So nothing's kind of been missed out, and yet you're still building up that level of experience and confidence and skill level, but it's perhaps a more staged, so that we can, from our point of view, sometimes what happens is people, we want to be a Diveheart buddy. And then you explain, well, first of all, you need to learn to dive, and then we need to get you confident, and you need this experience. And they're like, whoa. And all of a sudden they see this time scale. But if we can teach them to dive, and we're building up their own diving experience, but it at the same time, once they hit the right level, they're building up that pool experience of being a Diveheart buddy. And then they can step it up incrementally, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's interesting because we were talking yesterday about possibly creating a certification for therapists so that they could learn to, I'm assuming most of them would be open water divers initially, that they're not coming to us as divers already. But getting them some sort of certificate, because then they could do what they wanted to do in the pool. They wouldn't have a full buddy certificate that would take them to the open water. So I wasn't thinking about a standard buddy, but that's definitely something that we could, guess what? We can adapt and really look and see what can we do in that case, and how can we be flexible, adaptable, and help hopefully keep people enthused about wanting to work with us and work with people with disabilities.
It's a dynamic thing right now. Really, it's cool to be. It's such a early point in growing scuba therapy and adaptive scuba that we can kind of create things that have not been around before. I mean, Diveheart was an idea. And now here we are 20 years later, touching people around the world and changing their lives. I mean, we want to give people a reason to get up in the morning. And if they know they're going on a dive trip to Cozumel or whatever, 6 months or a year from now, that still is a reason to get up in the morning. And it really, we've seen it work over and over again. And it's very, very powerful. So we want to keep doing that, giving people hope, giving them a reason to get up in the morning, giving them purpose, make them feel valued. So, and creating new tools, like you said, Joe, about, maybe giving them maybe recognition for what they've done in the pool, and then go from there. So it's a great great input. Thank you.
That would be great.
And the UK is where Paralympics started. So I mean, you're right in the breadbasket of working with, the genesis of working with people with disabilities. So
let's make sure we have Gabe and Sarah get a chance before we're getting close to the end of the hour. But do you guys, Gabe, do you have any thoughts on future of adaptive diving?
What Josephine said was actually, that's a really awesome idea. The pool recognition, certification, kind of to lock it down, make it, keep having them have more practice. I think that's an awesome thing. It seems like adaptive scuba is becoming more and more formal form of therapy from the conversations I've been having with the recreational therapy, vocational therapy, et cetera, et cetera. So it's growing in that direction as well. So it's moving into formal institutions little by little. So I think that's one direction that it's heading for the future, which is amazing. And as always, it's making the sport more inclusive, which is very, very important instead of exclusive.
Yeah, we're knocking on the door.
Yeah, I would. I mean, what you just said is really important, and I think that if people were to go to the Diveheart YouTube channel and click on playlists, you can get all the medical stories and all the military stories and all the symposiums. And this is the 11th year of symposiums we've had. And you can watch, I mean, if you watch every symposium, it's like probably going through a college course in scuba therapy, because from day one, we started going, this is therapeutic, and reaching out to university medical centers and then bringing them in and say, we're going to do an adaptive scuba symposium. They're like, what's that? Well, we're creating it, and have people tell their stories from university medical centers all over the country. It's very exciting, and people can access that on our website and YouTube channel.
All right. Hopefully, Sarah, I'm sure you have some thoughts on the future of adaptive diving. Do you?
It may be a little loud in here, but I was I had a few things. I was thinking about schools and having programming in our schools where not only the adaptive diver is of benefit, but you also have that inclusion with the able-bodied students and or the able-bodied, the faculty. So maybe, encouraging the programming within schools as a future idea, more so. And I was also thinking about the future, just the explosion that can happen with more and more divers going on trips and being out and about. Whenever we're at a DSE, if there are people swimming laps next to us, many of them are craning their necks and or walking over and saying, my neighbor, my nephew, my this, my that, and they want to know. And next thing we know, we have a new diver that is going to come to one of our Discover Scubas, and or family members once again going through the certification process. So I'm still anticipating a boom in the industry where everybody's treated kind of equally.
I like that. I think that's great because we already do a couple pool program or school programs, like you were saying, but we've tried a couple of times and it just always ends up being, it happens when it's supposed to happen. But I think that that's another couple of great additions to the ideas of what's going to be coming down or coming along our way for adaptive diving. I know that we are right at the end. We timed that beautifully, which is one of the few things we timed beautifully today. Anyway, I wanted to say thank you. Thank you to our panel. Thank you to everyone who joined us tonight. Tomorrow we will be speaking and talking to people about recreational therapy. So it'll be another kind of rec therapy focused evening. If you'd like to join us again, we invite you to come out and join our meeting once again, same time, same channel.
Right.
Any last words, Mr. Elliott?
Thanks to Steve and to Sab, our technical crew here, who's helping make this all come together.
Yes,
We
and helping
appreciate
make us calm, cool, and collected. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. We'll bid you good night, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow.
Imagine the possibilities.
Be a problem, but we got solutions. And if you want to win, add your contribution. So we are the people like the Constitution. So now is the time for your resolution. You want to be free? Free. Then sing with me. Yeah. You want to be free? Then take that leap. Take a dive, take a dive, take a dive. I see you climbing high. I see you climbing high. Take a dive, take a dive, take a dive. Your time to win, our hearts all in. Let's let the fun begin. Take a dive, take a dive, take a dive.